We live in interesting times.
For the headlines.
The grisly discovery of 26 badly burnt bodies brings the death toll to 50 from wildfires ravaging seaside areas around Athens in Greece's deadliest blazes in more than a decade, with fears the death toll may yet rise further.
And hundreds of people are missing and an unknown number believed dead after the collapse of a hydropower dam under construction in southeast Laos.
An unprecedented heat wave in Japan has killed at least 65 people in 1 week, with the weather agency now classifying the record-breaking weather as a natural disaster.
On Friday, the world will witness the longest lunar eclipse to date, which will last for 1 hour and 45 minutes.
I'm Alma Angeles, wherever you're watching from around the world. Thank you for joining us tonight.
We welcome our viewers here in the Philippines and around the world. Good evening, everyone. I'm Sam Cepeda.
And now to the news. Dozens of people have died and 170 have been injured in wildfires ravaging woodland and villages in the Athens region, as Greek authorities rush to evacuate residents and tourists stranded on beaches along the coast on Tuesday. Now, the death toll soared, with the Red Cross official reporting the discovery of 26 bodies in the courtyard of a villa at the seaside resort of Mati. The bodies were entwined and severely burnt, according to an AFP photographer at the scene. They appear to have been caught by the flames trying to reach the sea. The authorities had previously announced 24 deaths and scores of injuries, with the majority of casualties found in their homes or cars in Mati, 40 kilometers northeast of the capital. Of the injured, 11 people were in serious condition. Port authorities said they had found 4 bodies in the sea, including 3 women and a child who had apparently tried to escape the flames. Greece has already declared a state of emergency in parts of the country over deadly wildfires. The first major fire broke out in a pine forest near the seaside settlement of Kineta, 30 miles west of Athens, between the capital and Corinth. The second broke out yesterday afternoon in the Penteli and Rafina areas northeast of Athens. Gale force winds that frequently changed direction were hampering firefighting efforts.
An unprecedented heat wave in Japan has killed at least 65 people in 1 week, government officials say, with the weather agency now classifying the record-breaking weather as a natural disaster. In the week to Sunday, at least 65 people died of heat stroke, while 22,647 people were hospitalized. The Fire and Disaster Management Agency said in a statement. Both figures are the worst ever for any week during summer since the agency began recording fatalities resulting from heat stroke in July 2008. The Fire and Disaster Management Agency said Tuesday that a total of 80 people have died from the heat since the beginning of July, and over 35,000 have been hospitalized. Among those killed was a 6-year-old schoolboy who lost consciousness on his way back from a field trip. The government said it would supply funds to ensure all schools are equipped with air conditioners by next summer. The agency warned that much of the country will continue baking in temperatures of 35 degrees or higher until early August. Officials have urged people to use air conditioning, drink sufficient water, and rest often. Japan's summers are notoriously hot and humid, and hundreds of people die each year from heat stroke, particularly the elderly in the country's aging society.
In other news, Malacanang on Tuesday expressed readiness to work with new House of Representatives Speaker Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque said President Duterte has very good relations with the former president and now Pampanga Congresswoman.
We are ready to work with the chosen leader of the House of Representatives, and because Mrs. Congresswoman Gloria Macapagal Arroyo is now the House Speaker, we are, of course, able and ready to work with Speaker Arroyo. No? We have had very good relations with Speaker Arroyo. She was one of the staunchest supporters of the President during the elections. They share the same political agenda, so we foresee absolutely no problems in working with Speaker Arroyo.
Mrs. Arroyo replaced ousted House Speaker Pantaleon Alvarez in a day-long leadership row that delayed President Duterte's third State of the Nation address on Monday. Mrs. Arroyo was elected by 184 House members in an informal session, while Alvarez and Senate President Vicente Soro III were with the President inside a holding room. Roque said even Executive Secretary Salvador Medaldea somehow mediated between the contending parties. He, however, clarified that the concern was only due to the constitutional duty of the President to deliver the SONA on the fourth Monday of July. After an hour and 20 minutes of waiting, it was Alvarez who joined Soto and the President at the podium, but only for less than an hour, as the lower chamber held the session anew after the SONA to formally install Arroyo as the first female House Speaker.
Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque said the President was very concerned by the proposal of former House Speaker Pantaleon Alvarez to postpone next year's election to allow Congress to facilitate charter change.
We're anticipating that the House would change its leadership. I think really what change is, I do not know. I'm now speculating. But even the President had problems with the call of the House Speaker and no elections. And I noticed that the President was visibly concerned about the pronouncements of the Speaker on no election, insofar as he related also no elections to federalism. The President has always maintained that federalism should be accepted by the people on its own merits, and he has always said that he did not want to benefit from charter change. So I noticed that there was much concern on the part of the President with the pronouncements on Noel, and I think you will recall here that he used very strong language. He authorized me to restate what he said in relation to Noel, and that is under no circumstance will he have any hand in that.
He also confirmed that Executive Secretary Salvador Medaldea had to mediate between Alvarez and Pampanga Representative Gloria Macapagal Arroyo due to a standoff on House speakership. A manifesto expressing support for Arroyo was passed around after the House session was abruptly suspended on Monday, right before Duterte was about to deliver his third State of the Nation address. Arroyo took her oath of office as House Speaker. Alvarez, on the other hand, proceeded to sit beside Senate President Tito Soto when Duterte delivered his SONA after a delay.
Tempers were really flaring all over the place, but they all had to behave because the President was around, of course.
Despite the conflict between Alvarez and Arroyo, Roque maintained that Malacanang would not interfere with internal matters of the House.
The news continues here on Eagle News International. Stay tuned.
hanggang Biyernes, alas 7:30 hanggang alas 8 ng umaga.
Welcome to the garden. A world that brings you back to that natural, carefree feeling of joy and happiness. A place where art becomes your song to strengthen bonds. Creating your moments, kindling your passion, worth reliving over and over. A world that recaptures the value of life. Breathe. This is your world, your life, your garden.
Welcome back. Hundreds of people are missing and an unknown number believed dead after the collapse of a hydropower dam under construction in southeast Laos. Communist Laos is traversed by a vast network of rivers, and there are several dams being built or are planned in the impoverished and landlocked country, which exports most of its hydropower energy to neighboring countries like Thailand. Laos news agency said the accident happened at a hydropower dam in southeastern Attapeu province's Sanamaksay district late Monday, and it released 5 billion cubic meters of water, more than 2 million Olympic swimming pools. The report added that there were several human lives claimed and several hundreds of people are still missing. The $1.2 billion dam is part of a project by Vientiane-based Shi Nam Noi Power Company, or PNPC, a joint venture formed in 2012. The 410 megawatt capacity dam was supposed to start commercial operations by 2019, according to the venture's website. The project consists of a series of dams over the Huay Mankach, the Shi Nam Moi and Shi Pian rivers in neighboring Champasak province. It planned to export 90% of its electricity to energy-hungry Thailand, and the remaining amount was to be offered up on the local grid.
The 29-year-old man who opened fire on restaurant goers and pedestrians on Toronto Street overnight, killing 2 people and wounding 13, had severe mental health issues, his family says. Police identified the gunman as Faisal Hussein of Toronto. He was found dead near the scene of the shooting after an exchange of gunfire with police. The authorities have not yet determined a motive for the attack that took place in Toronto's bustling Greek Town neighborhood around 10 p.m. Sunday. Hussein's family, in a statement to CBC News, denounced his horrific actions and said he was suffering from mental problems. Toronto Police Chief Mark Saunders said an 18-year-old woman and a 10-year-old girl were killed in the shooting rampage and 13 people aged 10 to 59 wounded, some seriously.
Last night at about 10 p.m., the Toronto Police responded to the area of Danforth and Logan with regards to a shooting incident. As a result, as you know, 2 people have succumbed to the injuries. One is an 18-year-old female and another is a 10-year-old girl. 13 other victims ranging in the age from 10 to 59 years old are being treated in the hospital. Their injuries range from minor to serious in nature.
There was no immediate explanation for the knife attack, and police were also seeking a motive for Hussein's overnight shooting spree in Toronto.
At the stage of this investigation, we do not know why this has happened yet. The investigation itself is very fluid. It is very new. It's going to take some time. And because of that, I'm certainly not going to invite any type of speculation.
Meanwhile, local residents paid their respects to the victims of the deadly shooting in Toronto, coming with flowers and signs as police continue their investigation at the scene. Let's listen in.
We just want to show to people that they, the victim family, that they are not alone in this pain. The whole Toronto is with them, and we are in their grief. I just want to say, just stand together and show your support and love to the victim's family.
Shooting that happened on Queen and Peter, that was right where my son works, and I'm getting worried about it. I wish Toronto come back and be a safe place again, just to commemorate the people who got injured, the little girl who died, and all my prayers and my heart go with everybody that got injured, with all the families.
Meanwhile, the Department of Foreign Affairs today extended its condolences to the families of 2 persons who were killed in a shooting incident in Toronto on Sunday that also left at least 13 others wounded. We send our sympathies to the families who lost loved ones in the tragedy in Toronto on Sunday, Foreign Affairs Secretary Alan Peter S. Cayetano said in a statement. The department said the Philippine Consulate General in Toronto was in touch with police authorities who indicated that none among the 400,000 members of the Filipino community were among those killed or wounded in the incident. According to Consul General Rosalita Prospero, the shooting was carried out by 29-year-old Faisal Hussein, who opened fire at several restaurants along Danforth Avenue in Toronto at around 10 p.m. Hussein was reported to have died from a gunshot wound after exchanging fire with responding police officers.
To other news now, the Philippine Embassy in France has issued an advisory for Filipinos traveling to Paris to be vigilant and careful due to an increase of incidents of break-ins, robberies, and pickpocketing in the city. In addition, the string of terror incidents in the past 3 years, the latest was on May 12, 2018, required the extra vigilance of Filipinos traveling to Paris. Filipinos are requested to follow the list of safety guidelines when traveling to France. Always secure your personal belongings such as your bags, wallets, phones, and other personal items when visiting tourist spots, walking around and riding public transportations. Be wary of pickpockets. They are rampant at metro stations, trains, and even in shopping areas. Keep your passport and identity card in separate areas of your bag so that you lessen the risk of losing both identity documents. Theft may also occur in hotels and apartments. Make sure that your briefcases, bags, and other valuables are secure. Be wary also of the so-called hotel rats, scam artists who pretend to be hotel guests or tourists and who can swipe baggage in hotel lobbies or book rooms with fake names and break in rooms to steal your valuables. Do not carry a lot of cash. Most stores accept cards. Should you use your card, cover your hand discreetly when typing the PIN. Keep your bags out of sight when inside the vehicles. Robberies may sometimes occur during traffic jams. Be alert and vigilant when visiting different areas in France. Make sure to follow the instructions of police and military personnel in case of any incident. Be updated with the news. Refrain from going to areas that are declared to be unsafe or that have terrorism threat.
North Korea has started dismantling some facilities at its main satellite launch station, seen as the testing ground for its intercontinental ballistic missiles, according to expert analysis of recent satellite images. The website said imagery indicated the North had begun taking down a processing building and a rocket engine test stand that had been used to test liquid fuel engines at its Sohae satellite launching station. Sohae, on the northwest coast of North Korea, is ostensibly a facility designed for putting satellites into orbit. But rocket engines are easily repurposed for use in missiles, and the international community has labeled Pyongyang's space program a fig leaf for weapons tests. 38 North analyst Joseph Bermudez called the move an important first step for Kim in fulfilling a promise that Trump said the North Korean leader made during their June summit in Singapore. Sohae has been the North's primary rocket launch site since 2012, and some experts cautioned against reading too much into the work described in the 38 North analysis. Trump said in Singapore that Kim had committed to destroying a major missile engine test site without specifying the site.
To other news now, a South Korean lawmaker embroiled in a bribery scandal has committed suicide. Here's RV Arbiero for the report.
An iconic three-term lawmaker in South Korea was found dead on Monday amid an investigation into allegations that he accepted illegal political funds, police said. Ro Wei-chan, 62 years old, floor leader of the minor opposition Justice Party, was found near the entrance of the apartment building in Central Seoul at 9:38 a.m. Police said that Ro leaped to his death from the building after leaving a suicide note saying he feels sorry to his family. Police then found a jacket on the building containing Ro's wallet, IDs, business cards, as well as what appeared to be a suicide note. In the note, Ro said he accepted money, but it had nothing to do with illicit favors. Ro had been under the investigation over an allegation that he received 50 million won from a powerful political blogger known by the nickname Drew King, who is at the center of an online opinion rigging scandal. Ro, a former labor activist who built an image as a clean politician, has denied the allegations. The case was investigated in 2016, but no charges were filed at that time. Political parties expressed condolences, and the main opposition Liberal Korea Party said that parties should continue Ro's aspirations for political reforms and development. The Conservative Party said that he set an example as a politician who cared for ordinary people and workers. The death of Ro, who was beloved by people for his piercing remarks, is a tragedy for Korean politics. President Moon Jae-in said his heart really aches over the sad news of Ro's death. South Korea has one of the world's highest suicide rates. A string of business executives, K-pop stars, and other celebrities have killed themselves in recent years, making frequent headlines. If Ro's death is officially determined a suicide, he would be the highest profile politician to kill himself since former President Roh Moo-yeon, who served from 2003 to 2008, shocked the nation in 2009 when he jumped off a cliff while being investigated over a corruption scandal. This is RV Arbiero, your EBC correspondent from South Korea, and I am one with 25.
Pakistan is all set to hold its general elections for the National Assembly, the lower house of the country's parliament, on Wednesday, July 25. The three main contenders for the post of the Prime Minister are Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf's Imran Khan, who has the backing of military. Khan has denied the claims and decried the venality of Pakistan's political elite, promising to build an Islamic welfare state if his Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf or PDI party form the next government. Along with the general elections, the country will also see simultaneous elections to the 4 provincial assemblies in Punjab, Sindh, Balochistan, and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. The country saw much drama in the run-up to the elections, with former PM Nawaz Sharif being jailed along with his daughter Maryam Sharif and son-in-law Muhammad Safdar in connection with the Avon Field Properties case. His election will mark only the second ever democratic handover of power in Pakistan without military rule in between. The results are expected by 26th or 27th of July. Eagle News International will be right back.
Ride-sharing firm Grab Philippines disclosed that it has filed a formal appeal to the Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board to reverse the 10 million peso fine imposed on it as penalty for charging an unsanctioned 2 pesos per minute to its customers. Grab said the per minute rate was in accordance with the Department Order 2015-011 of the Department of Transportation, which allows transportation network companies to impose their own fare rates subject to the oversight of the LTFRB. The Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board released an order asking Grab to pay the penalty of 10 million pesos, citing that its imposition of the travel fare rate is, quote, invalid and without authority from the board, for which the respondent is to suffer its consequences. The board also directed Grab to reimburse the riders who were charged with 2 pesos per minute fare from June 5 of 2017 to April 19, 2018 through rebates. This order came after PBA Party List Representative Jericho Nograles accused Grab of amassing at least 3.2 billion pesos from its riders for illegally imposing the 2 pesos extra travel time charge on top of its government-approved fares, resulting to a series of hearings and the cancellation of the per minute rate.
British Foreign Minister Jeremy Hunt says that Europe and Britain face a risk of a Brexit no deal by accident after talks with his German counterpart Heiko Maas in Berlin. What's this?
So without a real change in approach from the EU negotiators, we do now face a real risk of no deal by accident. and that would be incredibly challenging economically. And so the discussions that we're having across Europe are to make sure that we have a Brexit result that is consistent with the kind of long-term strategic partnership that we all know is absolutely vital for the future of Europe.
Meanwhile, the European Union's chief negotiator, Michel Barnier, says that Britain's blueprint for the post-Brexit period raises 3 series of questions. Let's listen in.
The White Paper has raised 3 series of issues, which I put forward, and we have questions that we have put to the UK, and we await answers. Firstly, the White Paper proposals. We need to see if they are compatible with the principles set out by the 27 heads of government and state at the European Council meeting in March. In fact, even before March, when the negotiations began in June 2016. These are principles that were reiterated by the foreign ministers today. Integrity of the single market and the customs union, the indivisibility of the 4 freedoms, and the respect of the autonomy of the EU decision-making of the 27 member states. These are 3 key elements that were in the mandate of the European Council, in my mandate. Let me give you one example. The UK says that they are willing to align itself on the EU standards for goods, but only for goods that are checked at the border. The UK, consequently, would not align itself to our agro-food rules as regards GMOs or pesticides, because the respect of these rules is not checked at the border. And this was, in fact, confirmed to us this week in the negotiations. So, how can we protect consumers? Which basis could we accept a free circulation of goods? A second question. Are these White Paper proposals workable? Are they applicable without any additional computational bureaucracy? For example, the regulatory alignment on goods, and furthermore on what the facilitated customs arrangements as proposed by the UK. As you will have seen, these proposals would mean 2 tariffs would be applied, either the UK tariff or the Union tariff, or goods that are going to go to the UK market, or whether they are to go to the European market, irrespectively. So this creates practical problems. For example, how can the customs services verify the final destination of the goods so as to choose the correct tariff, so as to ensure that they apply the correct tariff? Is there not a major risk of fraud? What would be the financial and administrative extra costs be for businesses given this new dual system? Now, Brexit cannot and will not justify additional bureaucracy. What would the impact be if the UK has tariffs lower than the EU tariffs? What impact would it have on the finances of the member states? And such a complex system would also raise a much more fundamental question. How could the EU delegate the application of EU tariffs to a country that is no longer a member state, that is no longer subject to our rules of governance? And is it possible? Is it legally feasible? And then a third set of questions we put to the UK.
We'll be back with more news right after this break.
provide na appropriate ratings sa lahat ng TV shows. Para ugaliin ng pamilya ang responsableng panonood. Teamwork tayo, parents!
Rated G, good for all. Oops, rated PG.
Dapat may mga magulang para sagutin ang mga tanong ng kabataan.
Sabi, rated SPG, maselan!
Itan ang paggabay.
Pag rated MTRCB, rated responsable.
Hong Kong clinics said they have seen a surge in demand for children's vaccines Tuesday after a safety scandal rocked mainland China. The crisis stemmed from falsified production data of a rabies inoculation by a major mainland manufacturer. But vaccines against diphtheria, tetanus, and whooping cough given to babies and infants were also found to be substandard, with doses already sold and administered. The mounting scandal has raised questions about the safety of China's entire vaccine industry and has led some parents to seek treatment in semi-autonomous Hong Kong. The city already has a reputation for safer medication than mainland China and has seen a rush on its production in the past after health scandals over the border. Private hospital Hong Kong Sanatorium said it has seen a rise in inquiries and had contacted suppliers to ensure a stable supply of vaccines to meet the needs of patients in coming days.
But this one, because it deals with babies and the volume is a lot. So that's why the people are very concerned with it. There are some infection. If you have the vaccinations, you can protect them from meningitis and things like that. But if you don't have it, don't have the antibodies, it might be dangerous to the babies. So that's why the parents are shocked with, this incident. I heard that, China parents are thinking of, and the basic thing or the basic demand of a human beings is safety, right? So it's very important, it's crucial for our basic right of a human beings. So that's why safety of medications or vaccine is very crucial to that country or cities. So they can't deny the duties of doing that. This is something that we have to take process process for people to change or upgrade the integrity and ethical issues. And if you can't stop them, you must have some penalty. Even right now, not just vaccine, there are other people that coming up for.
In sports, the Dallas Mavericks have resigned Dirk Nowitzki, which will make the German star the first player in NBA history to play 21 straight seasons with the same team. Nowitzki is now set to begin his 21st season with Dallas, which will be an NBA record for a player with the same franchise. The previous record of 20 was held by Kobe Bryant with the Los Angeles Lakers. No details were released about the deal, which was announced on the team's website on Monday. The Würzburg, Germany native was the 9th overall pick in the 1998 entry draft and was acquired by the Mavericks via a trade with the Milwaukee Bucks. The 13-time All-Star Nowitzki is the most decorated Maverick in the franchise history. He was named Most Valuable Player of the 2006-2007 season and MVP of the 2011 NBA Finals. Nowitzki, who turned 40 last month, is the league's only international player with more than 30,000 career points. In tennis, 8-time Wimbledon champion Roger Federer has pulled out of next month's ATP Rogers Cup tournament in Toronto due to scheduling concerns. The 36-year-old Federer said he needs to be prudent about how many tournaments he plays in a season. Jeremy Chardy of France will take Federer's place in the main draw. The organizer said the event, which takes place August 4 to 12 at Toronto's York University, will feature 19 of top 20 players in the world, including reigning Wimbledon champion Novak Djokovic and world number 1 Rafael Nadal. It's unfortunate that we won't have Roger in Toronto this summer, said tournament spokesman Carl Hale. In swimming, six-time Olympic gold medalist Ryan Lochte has been suspended 14 months for anti-doping violation after he received an intravenous infusion, the U.S. Anti-Doping Agency or USADA announced on Monday. While USADA said Lochte was not using a banned substance, athletes can typically only receive IVs as part of hospital treatment or through an exemption, adding the swimmer had accepted his suspension. Lochte's ban was backdated to May 24th, the date he received the treatment that he said was taken as a precaution after his wife and son fell sick. He will miss the U.S. National Championship, which begin in California this week, next month's Pan Pacific Championship in Tokyo, and the 2019 World Championship in South Korea. However, Lochte has spoken of his plans to compete for a spot on the team at the 5th straight Olympics in 2020. He would turn 36 during the Tokyo Games. In 2016, Lochte was banned from swimming for 10 months after he claimed that he and 3 other U.S. swimmers were robbed after a night of revelry during the Rio Games. Brazilian police later determined, in part based on surveillance video, that Lochte had largely fabricated the story. He was charged with making a false crime report, but a Rio appeals court eventually threw that case out. These are the stories for EN Sports. I'm Ben Bernaldez, and I'm 125.
This month's full blood moon will star in the longest total lunar eclipse of the century. On Friday, the world will witness the longest lunar eclipse to date, which will last for 1 hour and 45 minutes. According to CNN, the moon will be in perfect alignment with the sun and earth, with the moon in the middle of the earth and the sun. The day would be of special significance for stargazers who across the world will also get a chance to witness a deep red blood moon, a situation that occurs when the moon is perfectly eclipsed and appears reddish due to the sunlight. The lunar eclipse of 2018 will be visible on the 27th of July in large parts of Australia, Asia, Africa, Europe, and South America.
This year, the French-Australian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, WA chapter, partnered with the Alliance Franchise or Franchise de Perth and La Maison de France to celebrate Bastille Day. They experienced a celebration of France's National Day with a fabulous evening at Perth Flying Squadron Yacht Club. Charmy Quero reports.
Every person who considers themselves to be a French wannabe should be quite familiar with Bastille Day. Now, what is really about? Well, considered to be the National Day of France, it is celebrated every 14th of July, and its name is derived from the historic storming of Bastille, which has led to the victorious end of French monarchy.
To give glory to this patriotic occasion, mega French communities in Perth, including FACCI, La Maison de France, French Consulate, and Alliance Française de Perth, are proud to host a grand celebration located here at the Perth Flying Squadron Yacht Club. Just 5 kilometers away from Perth CBD, attendees have gathered to tonight's venue before the event's 7 p.m. start and is already buzzing with excitement as families are ready to wave their French flags in anticipation for the night. Bastille Day is traditionally celebrated in France with company of family and friends and of course along with heartwarming food. Today, it is no different here in the Yacht Club, as attendees are promised French ambience accompanied with a buffet and glasses of wine. Looking at the visual environment of the venue, it is no doubt that the night is planned to be memorable for the minds of its attendees.
July 14 has always been a beloved day among the French since its recognition in 1789. Therefore, it is truly the perfect 24 hours for the world to appreciate even more the French culture, community spirit, and the best of its food. And as usual, we'll be eagerly waiting for the next. Reporting for Australia Bureau for Eagle International News, I am Charmy Quero and I'm 1 with 25.
Thank you, Charmy.
Thank you, Charmy. Don't forget to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Tumblr. Also check out our boards and Pinterest and pictures on Instagram. I'm Sam Cepeda. Thanks for joining us.
And that's it for tonight's broadcast. I'm Alma Angeles, and
We're one with 25.